Welcome in, belly up, have a seat, and grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome on into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the league podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 147, a 2024 season rewind, and it is my great pleasure to welcome back to the bar to start off 2025, Mr. Bernie, a.k.a. Team B.
Yes, Cuban B.
How are you doing tonight, Bernie?
I am excited for fantasy football.
All right, it's just around the corner. All right, guys, in this show, like I always say, before you can go forward, you must look back, and we're going to do just that as we take a look back at the conclusion of the 2024 Wingman Fantasy Football League season. We will also see who will earn their pair of golden wings as we unveil the second annual Golden Wingman Awards. And we'll also start taking a look forward as we look at how we adjusted and or amended some fantasy football settings for the upcoming season. All right, of these three segments, Bernie, the 2024 season rewind, the Golden Wingman Awards, or looking at some rule changes, which one of these segments piques your interest the most?
Oh, it's all about the rule changes for me. I don't like looking in the past, man. I like looking towards the future. What's happening?
All right, well, we will get there. We will get there, but before we do that, let's make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingmen assemble! All right, now that everyone is here, thank you for joining us for... Oh, no! I pushed the wrong button. Which one does that? I don't even know. That's... All right, there we go. All right, part of the charm, guys. We're starting early. Okay, all right, guys. So, all right, it is time to take a look back at the 2024 season rewind.
Let's go back.
Week 17, rewind.
Bernie, we have three games that catch my attention as we close the door on the 2024 season. These had some big implications in a lot of different ways. The first game that catches my attention here is the third place game where we had the two teams battling. They lost in the semifinals, but they were playing each other to get third place. We had Red Sox Nation up against Mac Daddy 2s. What do you have on this contest?
Oh, yeah. This was going into this one. This was going to be a shootout. Mac Daddy 2s was coming on strong. Red Sox Nation was really pushing for that win again. And Baker Mayfield just came out, dominated the QB position over Bo Nix. Baker had 34 points for Red Sox Nation. It looked like that was where it just took hold, and then he ran away with it with a final score of 152-94. He dominated this. Mac Daddy 2s, he had some bench players that could have helped him out a lot. Patrick Mahomes was on the bench with 26 points. Devontae Smith was on the bench with 27 points. So Mac Daddy 2 didn't play his optimal lineup. He would have cut it closer, but Red Sox Nation dominated this one.
So there are a few things I want to note on here. So Red Sox Nation, as we all know, was going for his fourth consecutive championship as he won 3 in a row going into this season here. And he snuck into the playoffs, just by the way it went at the end of the regular season, but he had his lowest scoring output in the semifinal. I forget the exact total, around 59 points or so. That was what took him out of the running for his fourth consecutive, but he rebounded from that 59-point game to get 152 in the last week, even though it wasn't the championship. It was a third-place game. Not only was it his highest score of the season, it was our league's highest score of the season came in the last week of our 2024 season.
Yeah, he definitely needed that one the week before. But he got the win at the end. Didn't get his fourth victory, but we're all glad for that.
Yeah. Oh, and these two guys were also, as a rematch, they were in the championship game last year, these two. Again, it was the last week rematch just for different stakes. But once again, Red Sox Nation beat Mac Daddy 2s to end the season. And there was a couple other players that caught my attention on Red Sox Nation for a couple of different reasons. One, if you remember, our start sits on our last Sunday morning quickie. We said with players out, Jalen McMillan might be a nice play, and he had CeeDee Lamb was out as he was put on IR going into that week, and he picked up Jalen McMillan per Wingman's advice, and he had a huge game at 20.5 points. And his receiving core is what brought him through here as Trey McBride of Frankenstein.
It's alive! It's alive!
Finally had a huge game in terms of fantasy points. He was good all year, but couldn't put it together with scoring and yards, had 24.3 points. And the rookie, Malik, won't you be my
neighbor?
Had 32.6 points. All right. We're going to get on to the next game. This one's going to be a little closer to your heart here. This game was the championship of the losers bracket, if you will, or the consolation bracket. They were fighting for 7th place, and this too was a rematch. We had Bernie's Team B up against Lion Eyes going for 7th place for a consecutive season. These guys were battling here. What do you have on this game?
Yeah. Okay, before we get into the actual game, let's talk about the week leading up to this game. The week leading up to this game, Lion Eyes had 139.48 points in the semifinal. I had 134.94 in the semifinal, so we both dominated that round. Then it moved us into this consolation game here, and it was a nail biter. Lion Eyes eked it out by 2 points, 102 to 100. It was close. We both were finishing up our season strong. But the Lions dominated. Jahmyr Gibbs had 24 points. He has Lamar Jackson in his quarterback position with 29 points. Brian Thomas with 20 points. He dominated. I couldn't get more than 2. I had the other good Lion, Jameson Williams, finally did something for me, and he gave me 22 points. And then Jonathan Taylor finally did something without getting hurt, his ankle getting hurt, and did give me 26 points. But I had to start Bryce Young. I had to start A.J. Brown, who was reading books on the sideline, Hollywood Brown. I didn't know what was going on. I'm surprised that I got this far in it. So I won last year with the same positioning. Lion Eyes won this year, so hats off to him. He's a great fantasy football competitor, so I don't mind losing to a guy like that.
So there are a couple things that caught my attention. You kind of mentioned it here already. You started Bryce Young. I don't know who your other options where I don't have the full lineup up here, but Bryce Young was not bold. He actually surpassed his projection, so he did relatively well considering what you could expect. But I did notice I was surprised to see that he actually cracked the lineup.
Without knowing their points, it is Bryce Young going against Tampa Bay at Tampa Bay. The other positions I had there was Anthony Richardson, Geno Smith, and Joe Flacco. Bryce Young gave me 16 points. Did any of those 3 on my bench give me more than 16? Flacco, Geno Smith, or Anthony Richardson? Go ahead.
I don't remember which Colts started, to be honest with you. I think even without knowing who started, assuming that Richardson was playing, he's the bigger boom bust guy. So he could have gotten you 12 or 30.
He gave me 0 on the bench. Geno Smith gave me 8 on the bench.
What did Flacco do then? Did he play? Okay.
So
it was the Colt play. Whoever was playing for the Colts was the play, I guess.
Exactly. So it was, I should have seen it, but again, it was Flacco against Miami, 21 points there. So, Bryce Young was coming on strong at the end of the season, though. So, I had to run with a hot hand.
And then you mentioned it was a 2-point game, not to make it sound worse or whatever, closer. It was closer than that. If you look at the actual fractions here, you lost by 1.3 points.
Yeah, I was rounding up for me. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, bud.
And if you followed along on our live stream for the championship special here, you were talking trash with about 5 minutes left to go on that Monday night San Francisco Detroit Lions game, and Jahmyr Gibbs, who should have been pulled, probably shouldn't have played that game at all as the Lions weren't playing for much, but should have been pulled in the second half as they were up by I don't know what the final was.
The final was 40 to 34.
Yeah. But Jahmyr Gibbs scored about a 38-yard touchdown, 33 to 38-yard touchdown with about 2.5 to 3.5 minutes left in the game. And that was what flipped the script on that outcome right there. As Jahmyr Gibbs got a 9-point play in that last late in the quarter.
Lion Eyes beat me with the Lion, man. I can't fault him for that. I was winning with the Lion. Jameson Williams had me up in that game as well. So it's all good.
All right, so we've had 2 rematches here in terms of the final game of the season here. Your guys had the same stakes. The Red Sox Nation Mac Daddy 2s was for a little bit lower stakes, but very high stakes. But now we're to the championship game for all the marbles. It didn't look like it was going to be a runaway, but it got kind of close enough to keep watching to the end of that Monday night game. We had Crazy Fish going for his 5th championship in league history up against Alex's They Took Our Jobs, who making his 3rd appearance in the final, but had yet to win a championship. What do you have on this particular championship matchup?
Going into this one, just looking at the starting quarterbacks again, it was Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow had the advantage for Crazy Fish. Crazy Fish had 36 points over Josh Allen's 22 points. That was good. Then this is where the tide had turned at the running back position. Between Saquon and Jacoby Myers, that was 31 points against Zach Charbonnet and Amon-Ra. I'm sorry. So, Saquon with 17, Zach Charbonnet with 9. Then it was the wide receivers that flipped it. Jacoby Myers, Adam Thielen had a combined 39 points against Amon-Ra and George Pickens with a combined 22 points. So that's really was the turning point there, that They Took Our Jobs really kind of ran away with it. His wide receiver position really helped him out there.
So looking at They Took Our Jobs roster, he had a very steady roster. He had Josh Allen, one of the top 2 quarterbacks, NFL MVP. He had Barkley and Derrick Henry. So his 3rd running back was James Conner, who was also a stud. I'm not sure where he finished, but I think he was like 9 or 8 for the finals, fantasy points in that range anyway. So he had 3, let's just to be safe, 3 top 13 running backs, if not higher, including 2, the 1 and 2 or the 1 and 3. So he had his way he was getting his points all year long was through the running back position, and he was very weak at the wide receiver position. But it came through at the end with, like you said, Jacoby Myers and Adam Thielen scoring nearly 40 points from this, that receiving room there. That was his weakest position on paper. It became a strength, or at least they showed up at the right time of the year to give him big time numbers to make up for a James Conner dud. So that was a huge win for They Took Our Jobs. It was 125 to 117. I'm not sure if we mentioned that. So it was a close enough game. And actually, Jawan Jennings was still in the field, needing to score a touchdown on that last drive. And we thought it was over. Then the Josh Dobbs came in and started peppering Jawan Jennings on that last drive. But the Josh ran it in himself instead of getting a receiving touchdown to make this a lot more interesting at the buzzer.
Yeah, and then you know what? It's not surprising looking at this roster that George Pickens was sub 10 and kind of let his team down, because I was really upset that I had let go of George Pickens and he started to pick up some points. So I'm kind of happy that he just had a dud at the end.
It was like a 7-week in the making sabotage.
Exactly. Not to say that I'm glad that Crazy Fish lost. I'm just glad that George Pickens didn't help his team.
Gotcha. I wanted to play that sound. Let's see if it works. There we go.
But let's also say that Crazy Fish, he was streaming a lot of players throughout his season. And let's say he's got 27 points between his kicker and his defense in this last game. So he was really making a push for this.
Those last 4 weeks, he was getting 15 to 18 points from every defense, and they were all picked up moments before each of their games. It was pretty impressive to see. But congratulations today. Took Our Jobs. Alex got his first championship. He's been in the league almost the entire time, maybe missed 3 or 4 years, and we're in our 25th year. So it was like at least 17 years he's been in this league. Got his first championship, 3rd time's the charm. So congratulations once again to Alex. Way to go, my man. And that is the 2024 season rewind in terms of your Wingman Fantasy Football League. All right, guys, let's get into our next segment of the day. All right, so once again, congratulations to Alex as They Took Our Jobs. Now it is time. Oh my goodness, it is time to see who is going to win their pair of golden wings in the 2nd annual Golden Wingman Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the annual Golden Wingman Awards. Who will earn their pair of golden wings? Categories tonight include Most Outstanding Player, Postseason MVP, Free Agent Acquisition of the Year, Draft Day Value of the Year. Draft Day Bust of the Year. And the up and down, always exhilarating, sometimes infuriating, the Roller Coaster Award. Our first award of the night will be Most Outstanding Player. And the nominees are Saquon Barkley, who finished the year with 2,000 rushing yards and 15 total TDs. Next up is Jamar Chase, who finished 2024 with over 1,700 receiving yards, getting 127 receptions, and getting into the end zone 17 times. Next nominee is the ageless one, Derrick Henry, at over 1,900 rushing yards and 21 total TDs. His teammate, quarterback Lamar Jackson, finished the year with over 4,000 passing yards, 41 passing TDs, and had 915 yards on the ground. And the NFL's MVP, Josh Allen, at over 3,700 passing yards, 28 passing TDs, and 12 rushing TDs. And the Golden Wingman for Most Outstanding Player for 2024 goes to Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley finished the year with a highest scoring non-QB at 341 total points, averaging 21.3 points per game. Congratulations, Saquon Barkley. You've earned your pair of Golden Wings. Our next category for the night is Postseason MVP. These are players who dominated the final 3 weeks of the fantasy football season to help many leagues out there, many teams, earn themselves a championship. Our first nominee is Jared Goff, who averaged 30.7 points during the fantasy playoffs. Followed by rookie sensation Jaden Daniels of the Commanders, who also averaged 30.9 points per game in the fantasy playoffs. Now moving to a Lion teammate, Jahmyr Gibbs averaged 24.5 points per game during the fantasy playoffs. Jonathan Taylor finished strong with 25.3 points in the fantasy playoffs. And rookie wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. finished with 23.9 points per game in the home stretch of the 2024 Fantasy League season. The winner for postseason MVP for 2024 goes to Jahmyr Gibbs. Not only did he average 24.5 points per game, but he scored the go-ahead touchdown with less than 3 minutes to go on Monday night to swing the tides for managers in the championship game. Congratulations, Jahmyr Gibbs. You've won your pair of Golden Wings. Now for free agent acquisition of the year. Our first nominee here is rookie Bucky Irving of the Tampa Bay Bucks. He was acquired early in September, was in our manager's lineups for 9 starts, and he scored 13.11 points per game, finishing as the 14th rated running back for the season. Our next nominee is Sam Darnold, also picked up in middle of September. He averaged 20 points per game with 6 starts, and he was a top 10 quarterback in the final tally. Jerry the Judge Jeudy, once the injury and the trade to Amari Cooper happened and Jameis Winston took over, Jerry Jeudy was a star, averaging 11.52 points during 8 starts, and he was the 15th rated receiver for the year. Next, Jawan Jennings, who was picked up and dropped multiple times, settled in on his final team middle of October, averaged 12.29 points per game in 6 starts, and he finished the year as the 25th highest rated receiver. And underdog story, Darnell Mooney, picked up middle of September, averaged over 10 points per game in 5 starts, and he finished as the 31st rated receiver for the year. Our free agent acquisition of the year for 2024 goes to the quarterback, Sam Darnold, who was a godsend, came out of nowhere, finished the year as the 9th rated quarterback at 20 points per game. Congratulations, Sam Darnold. You've earned your first pair of Golden Wings. All right, guys, it is now time for the draft day value of the year. These are players who overcame their ADP to help their managers throughout the season. Starting off with rookie Bo Nix, who was drafted as the 25th quarterback. He finished in the top 10 at number 7 for the season, and he was drafted in our final round of the fantasy draft. Next nominee is scary. Terry McLaurin was the 30th drafted wide receiver, but finished at number 6 for the season. Next receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba, finally had a breakout season, was drafted as the 46th receiver off the board, and he finished at number 12 at the position. Chase Brown, drafted at 37 as terms of running backs, finished the year as the 12th highest scoring running back. And another rookie on this list, second time nominated for this year's awards, Brian Thomas Jr., who was the 43rd drafted receiver and finished as a top 4 receiver coming out of round 8. The rookie, Brian Thomas Jr., is going to be your draft day value of the year. Congratulations, Brian Thomas. You've earned your first pair of golden wings. Our next category for the night is Draft Day Bust of the Year. These are the players we had high hopes and they let us down. Who are our nominees for Draft Day Bust of the Year? Our first Dolphin on the list is Tyreek Hill, a first-round pick, second wide receiver drafted, and he finished as the 21st receiver in final points. Next up, another first-round pick, Breece Hall from New York Jets, was the third running back off the board, and he finished outside of a top running back as he was the 17th running back in total scoring for the season. Another Dolphin to make this list, Jalen waddled his way into Dubsville as he was the 16th wide receiver drafted in the third round and finished the year as the 46th rated receiver. Jacksonville Jaguar Travis Etienne was the 8th running back selected early in round 2, and he finished the year as the 36th rated running back. And Deebo Samuel, 15th wide receiver taken off the board, finished as the 44th receiver, and he was ranked 52nd in terms of average points per game. The draft day bust of the year for 2024 is Travis Etienne, no muy bien. 8th running back drafted, finished as the 43rd running back in points per game. All right, our final award for the evening is the Roller Coaster Award. These players have high highs and low lows as they have a wide range of scores. Our first nominee is Jared Goff, second time nominated in this year's awards. He had 7 games over 23 points, whilst having 6 games under 13. He did finish strong as he was a nominee for postseason MVP, but it was rough going until that point of the season. Next nominee is Devontae Adams, a tale of two halves, a tale of two cities. He was a bust, a dud when it came to playing for the Vegas Raiders and was a godsend for the New York Jets. He had 5 games over 14 points and 6 games under 6. Our next nominee is Devon the Man Achane. He too had some high highs and low lows. With 8 games over 16 points and 5 games under 6, he is a nominee for the Roller Coaster Award. Jameson Williams, also another line to be on the Roller Coaster Award. He went the way Goff went, with 6 games over 14 points and 7 games under 8 points. He had an up and down season. And our final nominee is quarterback Kyler Murray at 8 games over 20 points and 5 games under 12 points. He too was very up and down. And the Roller Coaster Award for the 2024 fantasy season goes to Jared Goff. Sometimes he was Jared MVP, sometimes he was Jared Goof. 7 games over 23 points, 6 games under 13 points. He was tough going until the end. Congratulations, Jared Goff. You've won your first pair of golden wings. thank you all so much for joining us for another edition of the annual Golden Wingman Awards. All right. We had some good nominees there. Any award winners catch your attention? Any snubs? Any honorable mentions you want to bring up here? What do you got
man,
here?
I've got two things. First, let's start with the bad. The bad is that there are a lot of Dolphins on the draft day bust and the will he, won't he. We got their two number 1 and number 2 receivers, Waddle and Hill, on draft day bust, and will he, won't he, Devon Achane. So that was a sad day, sad season for the Dolphins. But on a positive note, I will say that most outstanding player award, is that what that is? MOP? All right.
Yeah.
Barkley, Henry, and Josh Allen were all on the championship team.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Alex. Way to go.
And they didn't even have to be playoff MVPs because they were just so good and solid. They were just getting 20 points instead of getting 28 points, but they had three guys doing it. I wanted to mention one thing. So last year, obviously, Saquon Barkley had what seemed to be a historic season, one not to be matched, especially because he had almost broke the all-time rushing record, only missed it by like 60 yards or so. I forget what the final short was. But nonetheless, my point is he averaged 21.3 points this past season. Great season. I'm not taking anything away from that, but I did want to mention the most outstanding player from 2023, Christian McCaffrey, averaged 22.6 points, almost 1.5 points more per game. Now, I know we all love McCaffrey in general in the fantasy community, but my point is that someone who had a historic, great, never to be duplicated season was actually surpassed just 1 year prior. So that was interesting to me as I was tallying up the numbers.
Yeah, but let's not get overboard here. All right, there's a lot of hype because of that backwards jump, and it's just fantasy points. So what about when we start making these point changes and rule changes, and how is that going to affect the player's outcome on their actual fantasy points? So let's not take anything away from Barkley just yet. Christian McCaffrey is great. We're not going to take anything away from him either. But Saquon Barkley, that backwards jump, man, that's set the whole generation of kids to learn how to jump backwards.
Okay. All right. There's one other thing I felt a little bad. I think it was draft day value. There's just, when you come down to it, it's just hard to get down to 5. But Baker Mayfield, I don't have when he was drafted. I can't imagine he was drafted any higher than the 10th round. But he finished as the second or third quarterback, depending on which metric you use per game or total points. So I could only put so many from each position. And so Bo Nix had a bigger jump, being that he was the last one drafted and got it to number 7. But Baker Mayfield deserves a lot of credit for the season he had last year as well, in terms of a draft day value and an overall fantasy performer.
Baker Mayfield gets the I played for Cleveland as a quarterback, but now I'm actually good award. So, there's not too many people that get drafted by Cleveland that end up finishing their careers in a strong way.
All right. Yeah, very good point. All right, guys, that closes the door on the 2024 season. Thank you guys for joining us on that. But now it is time to look ahead. And before we get into all of our positional previews, we want to lay down, before you even get to that point, you've got to set some rules for your league. I know last year in some of the mailbags, it was brought up to a chance to have an opportunity to change rules or amend rules, adjust rules, or at least bring up for discussion. And last year, just being busy, there wasn't enough time to give a fair amount of time for people to assess what these rule changes might be and then vote on. This year, I got a good head start. Started early in July. I've told everybody I know it's going to be annoying, but I want to get these off so we can get everything written up in stone. So by the time the draft order's drafted, we all know how we're playing. So what are your thoughts on how leagues should go about changing rules in general? How do you like how we address just the process of changing rules? And then after that, we'll get into some rules that were voted up or down.
So I think that rule changes obviously happen at the beginning of a season, before draft day, before draft order, before schedules. That's when you should make all your rule changes, in my opinion. So I don't think mid-season rule changes, unless it's something that the entire league is just like, this is an obvious thing that needs to be changed. So that's good. I think that you listening to the league, being the commissioner and the player, puts you in a spot where you kind of have to listen, but you also have an opinion as a player. So that's a difficult thing. And then last thing I'll say is my personal opinion on it is that there should be an advantage for the league winner, that they should be able to propose the new rule for next year. And that's just what I think a possibility for like an incentive. Like, oh, you won this year, you get to propose any rule that you want to be voted on for next year.
I'd like that. I had an idea about that, not so much for a rule change in a way, but and I thought we could just discuss it at draft day if it came to it. I was thinking about we've never had a toilet bowl, a punishment. One, I'm not looking to punish people. Two, I also don't want people. I don't know who's gonna. We've had a very consistent manager base, but you never until 10 years go by, like, oh, we had the same guy for 8 years in a row, but you don't know that. And I don't want to have like a penalty on somebody who's like, well, I'm just not going to play next year. That I think is a bigger killer than a camaraderie thing of having a little bit of a tease fest on the last place person, in my opinion. But I understand that a lot of leagues do it, and that could be fun. My thought is maybe to have before the draft, vote whether this season's winner, in this case Alex, how we talked about the winner make a rule. The winner decides what the toilet bowl punishment is, because he's not immune from receiving that punishment. There's no guarantee he's not going to be last place the following year. So that way it'll kind of curb the I'm going to pound somebody with something that's ridiculous, because you might pound yourself, if you say the wrong thing. So I thought that might be something if we wanted to do some sort of, again, very
lighthearted,
very lighthearted, non-demeaning, non-offensive, to some degree that we can all agree on a level of a joshing or whatever. But my thought was maybe to let the winner of the previous year set what the punishment is prior to draft, I probably should do prior to draft order, really. So there's not even that much information. And then kind of maybe go from there. I don't know if we'll get in time this year, because I'm personally tired of trying to go through all the rules and make adjustments. I'm just personally fatigued. Not saying that whatever, but that was a thought I had. Kind of a high, how the winner gets an advantage for something, not necessarily changing a point setting, but changing something going forward.
Yeah, and it's something we can discuss during draft day. I think our crew would like that.
So just to say how we handled it this year, like I said, I went the backlog of suggestions I went through, so I didn't have too many new suggestions, although there were some. And I added those in and just kind of did a one by one. I tried to make it as binary as possible, which is the hardest part, how to phrase these questions to get them as a yes or no, because I don't want 5 votes split up 10 ways or whatever. So I tried to do as many, like one binary thing at a time, and put 2.5, 3 days to let the votes come through, and then get the tally and move on to the next one. What'd you think about? It's a little tedious, I admit. I felt as I read back the chat, it didn't look as bad as it felt in real time. But in real time, it felt very tedious. But what did you think about that way of handling it through the text messages?
I think it was fine for this year, just because you were trying to get a lot done at one time.
Right.
I think, going forward after we implement the ones that passed, we should just be able to have a more in-depth discussion on anything that involves like multiple points, multiple changes, multiple scenarios, just the way everybody's kind of on the same page. Yeah,
gotcha.
But it was good this year because we were all in the same group chat.
Right. I was, like I said, I was just trying to the way I went to it. I think I even asked you. I was 2/3 for changing status quo, and then majority if it was like after we change the rule, change it A or B, change it in which style A or B kind of thing. All right. Which rules you want to mention some of your rules that were nominated, and which ones that passed or didn't pass, which ones you liked or didn't like, regardless of what your vote was or what tell me what you think about some of the new rules we actually did implement.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about the one that I care about, and that's the tight end position. And I'm kind of disappointed in Lion Eyes for voting it down this year. And his excuse was we added 2 more teams to the 14, and they didn't want to do the tight end on the 14. He would have only done it on the 12. I just call and BS on that. You guys, we should just need to have a tight end position. Okay, let's just get it over with already. It's inevitable. It's just the way everybody else plays fantasy football. Thank you.
Okay. So I generally am not a fan of forcing a tight end, although we've had tight ends in the past. I think they're actually more worthy of having the bigger the league is. So like we've only had 16 teams a couple of times, and those are the years where we have tight ends as a mandatory position, only because that's one less running back that gets drafted to leave the free agent pool a little bit robust enough. It's already going to be slimmer with more teams drafting. So by force, not, the word force sounds rough, but by mandating that you have one position that leaves another one potentially more open throughout the year.
So, that was my only gripe, but I understand, and I'm not bitter about it by any means.
Well, I will say that one was a close one. That one was about a 50-50. I don't know the final. It didn't get to the 2/3. And I didn't want to add another starting position, like it was going to replace something. Kind of, I want the rosters to be the same size because I don't want to add an extra round to the draft, if you will. That's going to add another 25 minutes. But I was willing to, although, like I said, the way these things were worded, it was just too complicated to go down a 5-level flow chart. I would be more considering if people really did want a tight end. Now that was close enough to bring it up again, because like I said, it was close to 50-50. Right. Maybe changing it where, like, again, not expanding the rosters, but like eliminating the kicker or the defense and then bringing in a tight end, something like that.
I mean, again, it's one of those things we'll just have to discuss because, everybody, especially the people that end up at the top, I think they've got the strategy for the league. They know the league. They know the points. They know the system. They watch the NFL. They know where the rule changes in the NFL are going to lead to scoring on the offense. So it's kind of like those guys, they're good at what they do, man. There's a reason why Red Sox Nation has won 3 years in a row. He's good at it. He knows how to draft. He knows his strategy, and he executes it very well. So, getting some changes like that, changing positions, having another position, losing another position as far as draft, expanding a bench, shrinking a bench, all of that, and those little nuances, gives the rest of us that always finish middle of the pack, end of the pack, a chance against the big dogs like Red Sox Nation.
Gotcha. I think there's 2 or 3 that I wanted to maybe bring up a little bit. We had a little, I don't know if it was a joke or not. I can't even tell anymore. But Yahoo and changed their setting where you could add fractional.
Lost
the word. Fractional. Thank you. Fractional points in terms of field goal distance made. So before, like, a field goal would be in our league anyway, it was 3 points for a field goal up to 39 yards. Then you get a bonus point between 40 and 49, and then a subsequent bonus point for anything over 50. So field goals could be worth 3, 4, or 5 points, but they had to cross a threshold before they got to the next point. So with fractional points, a 49-yard field goal is only 1/10 of a point less valuable than a 50-yard field goal than a whole point. But there's no limits or caps on where that fraction ends, is the one thing. So now you have field goals that could be less than 3 points. Those 23-yard field goals are now worth 2.3 points. And your 53-yard field goals are now worth 5.3. So that's more than the cap was before, for example. So what do you think about the overall, just the fractional nature, regardless of caps and minimums, and then how it plays all together with caps and minimums?
I think it's okay. I don't mind it at all. The only thing it was brought up after the fact is that in our league, the quarterback position doesn't really score a lot of points for a touchdown pass, which kind of seems kind of silly when you look at it as far as the kicker scoring more points than a touchdown pass. But again, I'm okay with it. That's the way it is. It's the way the point structure is. You play in the league, the point structure, you make your adjustments when you draft your team.
I will say that one actually wasn't close. That was like a 10-1 vote in favor of adding the
more
fractional.
points the better.
I'm just saying, right, in terms of the sentiment of the loud fews, or the jokester few, I can't even tell anymore. It makes it sound worse than it is in terms of league sentiment. I did want to add to that. What was it? There was a 70-yard field goal in the Jacksonville game over the weekend.
Oh no, I did not see that. How many points would have that been?
Well, I've been 7 points even. I'm just saying it happened in the preseason. I don't think a coach would let a kicker kick a 70-yard field goal unless it was at the end of. How many
points would that kicker get?
7 points. Yeah. So, and then what was the other thing I wanted to say about it? I forget the other part. But anyway, so there was. Nothing changed even though the fractions are there. A 50-yard kick already scored more points than a passing touchdown. They don't, kickers don't get yards or passing yards or anything else. So that's all they get is the points. So I hear you. I got you. I
I
understand.
think it was a little just poking the bear kind of thing.
Yeah. There's two more I wanted to get into, and I forget. So I'm gonna go to the last one. I noticed it the other day. I'm not putting up for a vote. I put a text out earlier today. I'm going to do it at a minuscule level to take a taste and see how it goes. I've always wanted this. When you watch your as a fantasy manager, when you watch your defense play, you're rooting for sacks, you're rooting for fumble recoveries, you're rooting for interceptions and some sort of turnover. But sometimes these games, your defense is playing so good, it forces the offense to be desperate and have to go for fourth downs. Not as a Dan Campbell style, but as the defense put us in this position style. And I've always thought, like, that's a turnover, man. Your defense got the ball back for your offense in that situation. And Yahoo added this year a chance to get points for fourth down stops. So I've always thought of that as a turnover. Now, I know there's some instances where, like I said, there's a Dan Campbell where a guy will go for an offense for no reason just to kind of push it. So that's why I'm looking to start this at a quarter of a point for that stop. I think that'll take a little bit of the variance of when it's a real stop as opposed to just a situational type of a play. And it's also small enough that it shouldn't change outcomes too much, but we can see if we like it.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm all for it. I think it should be a whole point, honestly. That is a turnover. It's a turnover on downs. Whether an offensive coach wants to try to push it or doesn't really care for whatever the actual score is, that defense stopped them. And they got the ball back for their offense without a kick, a punt, or a field goal. So I think that should be a whole turnover point. But I'm okay. I understand what you're saying. Let's introduce it as the fractional point and then move on from there as a vote.
Well, right. Like I recall the first time we did points per reception, because we never did it for a long time. And then we finally introduced it. We started with that quarter point just to see. And we're like, oh, we like this. Let's get it to that half point kind of thing. So it could be, and you can set it for wherever you want. So if we like it, bump up to a half point and then kind of assess from there. If you're like, oh man, defense is scoring way too much, then you leave it there or bring it back down or get rid of it. I figure this is a good introduction. Like you said, you're getting the ball back without the team, punting it away or scoring. It is a turnover of
especially
some sort.
Because we don't play individual players. Having that team defense create that stop is great.
As we were going, is there anything else that caught your attention in terms of rule changes we did make or did not make, or things going forward?
No, nothing really. It was just I was focused on that tight end. Everything else was pretty much okay with me. I would have voted pass on most of them just because it didn't sway me one way or the other. So
I have to go back and look, but there were two that were like 50-50. It was the
money.
It was that one, the tight ends, and the weekly high payout. So I'm not gonna if they were dominated, I'm not gonna bring them up, or they'll be last on my list to bring back up based on time. But things that were close, we'll try and bring up again with maybe a difference to make it different.
Actually, trade. I think the trade and adding the fab dollars to entice a trade. I think that should be an unlimited amount. If somebody wants to say, I will trade you Saquon Barkley for Travis Etienne, but I'll give you 100 fab points and Travis Etienne, will you give me Saquon? I think they should be able to do that.
I hear you. That's similar to the fourth down. I don't know what it's going to look like. So I was proposing $5 just against those even trades, just to put it over the top or whatever. I'm not against going more, except that I don't know what it looks like. So I kind of want to dip my toe in the water, if you will. But I figured that one, I'm writing the rules up now. I didn't put in the rules what the value is. I said we can discuss what the final fab additions per trade will be. I'm probably going to lobby more for $10. I'll go up on the 5, but I really kind of want to keep it, like I said, dip the toe in. And if we like it or it works well, because the other thing is I have to do that manually. Right. It's not in the system. And it's all, I also do it after waivers run so that I can see a spot where someone pick up a player on a waiver wire no longer has that money to trade. And then I got to void a trade.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's less likely to, if you cap it for that to, people have to keep track of what they're doing, and I know not everyone's going to keep track of. Like, well, I thought I had this money when I made the trade, and now I don't. Well, because you had a waiver you picked up. I can't. You know what I mean? But I'm not. I just don't know what the value of fab is on its own. I don't know what a drafted player is worth in terms of fab. Kind of.
It's whatever the market says it is. Whatever that player wants to do. It's one of those things. It's like no, I don't. I don't spend my fab during the year. At the end of the year, I'm not me personally, but I'm just saying a player
Right, right. I hear
Any
you.
manager that says, no, I finished with like $75 out of my 100 in fab at the end of the year. Why am I not able to just use that to get the free agent, or not the free agent, to get the trade that I want? So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's
Cool.
all.
Yep. Very
Yeah.
good. Very good. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us for our first show back. I forgot to play the welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. I want to thank you all so very much for watching and or listening to the Wingman Fantasy Football
Can I say one thing?
podcast. Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry.
Welcome back. Welcome
Oh,
back,
yes.
Jeffrey. And who's the other brother that's playing? Is it going to be Brian?
Brian.
Welcome, Brian. Has Brian played with us before? Welcome
He
back,
has.
Brian. I'm glad to see you guys back in the league.
All right. That's right. We've expanded to 14. This is going to be very interesting. All right, guys. With that being said, thank you once again. You can find our for joining us for the Wingman Fantasy Football the League podcast. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, YouTube Music, and Amazon Music. If you could please rate us 5 stars, of course, the higher the better, on whatever platform you're using. I do appreciate it. And also, if you want to see these beautiful faces, you can find us on our YouTube channel, wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube. If you head over there, do me the favor, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave us a comment, and we will get those messages into our mailbag segment. With that being said, guys, may your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty.
And I love you all, and I hope to see you on draft day.
All right, and we will see you both. We will see you next time. Thanks, guys.